Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. I'm Gunnar Eels. Welcome to another episode of the Logical Gamers podcast. I'm joined tonight by Mr. Esoteric and Mr. Hotto Wolf, so three-man triple team tonight. And we are going to talk about some Pokemon. As of the filming of this video, Pokemon ZA or Pokemon ZA has recently just come out. It's on Switch 2, and there's also a lot of news going around. Not just the release of Pokemon, but also the kind of like leak, hack, whatever terminology you want to use with Game Freak. Apparently, they had some data leak out and kind of revealed their plans for the next coming years in regards to Pokemon, and not all of it is good. So we're going to be referencing a video from the YouTuber. I always get his name wrong, Endymion. Um, but we're going to be referencing his video, and so let's start from the beginning. So basically, the game is out, and I'm seeing a lot of mixed reports about the game. I'm seeing that there's been, kind of back and forth with the community about the mega evolutions. Some look cool, some not so cool. If you've kind of seen some of them, I know Mr. Esoteric brought up one, and I recently saw it. Starmie, looking like a weird alien. I told him it looks a lot like the Starmen from Earthbound. That's me probably giving Nintendo way too much leeway and grace. I think they just did what Esoteric said, and they took his legs and they stretched them. They stretched them out and were like, "Okay, wrap it up, boys.
Oh
We're
yeah.
done here. Another one in the books." But if we want to be generous, it's an Earthbound reference. Um, so like there's a lot of stuff that came out, how like literally the entire city, that the city of Lumia that the game takes place in, is literally one map. It's all loaded at the same time, which could lead to a lot of the performance issues that we're seeing on the Switch and Switch 2. I imagine more so the Switch than the Switch 2. um that's pretty dumb. Like, why would you have the entire map loaded at the same time? um it's like it's stuff like that, and just like a lot of the laziness and the corner cutting, and this leak also revealed the budget or I'm just gonna keep calling it ZA because I like the way that sounds better. um so, and the budget was pretty small, in comparison to Nintendo. So, which means like this is another reason why they don't have to kind of advance, because their budgets are so small and they just print money as far as I'm concerned. Um and that's why they make their money back so quickly. So I kind of like rambled a little bit. So we've all seen the video, just obviously FYI. So we're just going to talk about what he mentioned in the videos, kind of some of the stuff that came out with the Pokemon leaks, Pokemon's new their upcoming title, their upcoming mainline title, some titles that were canceled. Apparently, there was a pretty cool one that was like a prehistoric Pokemon that they were exploring that they ended up not doing in favor of Scarlet Violet. So, we're just going to talk about the video, what he talks about, and just give our thoughts on, did this like how did this influence our like of Pokemon, like of Nintendo? Did it change nothing? Are we even interested in Nintendo's new lineup of games? So I spoke enough. I'll pass it to whoever wants to take it, and just what did you think about the video? What stood out? What, if anything? Just so we could get some dialogue going.
All right. I guess I'll go. Well, the video from Endymion TV was very enlightening. There was a lot of things that were happening inside of like uh, the Pokemon company, like a lot of like figures and moving pieces within the company that I wasn't privy to that the leak has shown allegedly, because I'm not sure if these leaks are actual legit or whatnot. This is all based upon Endymion's perspective and what he discovered amongst these leaks. So I just want to be perfectly clear in regards to that. Don't want to share the right or wrong information without leaving out that disclaimer. Um, but yeah, what really intrigued me was the whole moving parts pertaining to Ken Sugimori, and also Matsuda, in terms of Matsuda ruling ruling the team with an iron fist, and everything had to go through him in order for things to be correct. And like Ken Sugimori getting into an argument with him as to what it pertains, we have no idea, that wasn't expounded upon, and ultimately kind of sidelining him out of the mainstream games, and putting in the current person, well, the one before, I forgot the last person's name, and after Matsuda, who created like some of X and Y and current, right? Um, Apparently the Matsuda games were that that I just found out that he worked on were one of the best. He worked on from Gen 3 all the way to part of X and Y. And I thought those games were phenomenal. I thought they were well done. The Pokemon aesthetically were well, created. They were kind of going a little off the rails with starting with like Black and White with, Garbota, and also Klefki and X and Y and whatnot. But we don't know. It's up for grabs as to whether or not it was Matsuda who made those Pokemon versus the new guy that was in charge before he got removed. But he made some phenomenal games. I remember them vividly as a child. All experiences from Pokemon, uh, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. Moving on to Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. Black, White. He even did what was it? Fire Red and Leaf Green. So they were phenomenal games, and I noticed that the decline, at least for me, started post X and Y with Sun and Moon, and then going to Sword and Shield, and now Scarlet and Violet. Those games, in my opinion, were lackluster, and I did not enjoy them. Um, Specifically, Scarlet and Violet, which I gotta say that was the first Pokemon game that I did not finish at all. That I had no intentions of finishing. Which kind of relates to Endymion's backstory, because I believe he said that as well. Like that was the first game that he just could not finish.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
and I I think a lot of the main component as to why Scarlet and Violet failed, Gunnar and I were discussing this prior to the taping of this video, is the fact that the game just didn't function properly. They did take a chance on making some changes. Like for example, excuse me, the game didn't focus on a linear perspective. It was more of a like open world where you took on different, like, it was a trifecta of different storylines. You had the badge obtaining quest that you had to do. Then you had the one where you had your team. I don't remember the name of the team at this time. But for those of you who've played Pokemon games, you know that there's always a team affiliated. You had your Galactics, your Aqua Magma, and so on and so forth. So they had their respective team in Scarlet and Violet, and then there was another story arc as well. So they were trying to move the goalpost to some degree. It wasn't enough, and also I think that the biggest component as to like Scarlet and Violet's failure. I say that in quotations because they sold gangbusters with the game despite its the flaws that I'm about to mention. But the main issue was the functionality. The fact that the maneuverability wasn't great. The immersion wasn't good. In terms of like one of the biggest things that I wanted to see in the 3D games of Pokemon is watching the Pokemon interact with each other within their ecosystem. That was hard to enjoy due to the stuttering of the frame rates and whatnot. The world immersion, where everything is stuttering in the background, you can't really enjoy the scenery of what you're looking at. And that was very disappointing for me. That was like the biggest disappointment of the game for me personally. So when Endymion, showed us who was working on which games, and then I mean, I gotta say, even though Matsuda ruled with an iron fist, they need to bring him back because he made such phenomenal games. And I don't know if there might be a bias there because I've been playing Pokemon from since its inception, from since Red and Blue, with Sugimori and his artwork till like Scarlet and Violet, and those games from X and Y and before just resonated more with me, and I feel like the the rest of the games kind of lost its oomph, if that makes any sense. Um, you have the Mega Evolutions, which was a huge gimmick that I enjoyed for X and Y, to be able to see old Pokemon get revitalized in a, not only stat wise but aesthetics. That was amazing. I popped up when I first saw Charizard X and Y, Mewtwo X and Y, all the other starters, Venusaur and Blastoise got an upgrade. They got a Mega Evolution. Then you had some other liked Pokemon as well that got Mega Evolutions to Tyranitar and so on. Even though I think Tyranitar was more so in Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, which was also phenomenal games in my opinion as well. Um, they did a good job from the stats of the stat boost to like how they looked, and then it seems like, which another conversation I had with Gunnar prior to the taping of this video, it seems like the way that um, the Pokemon developers, the team, or whoever's like running the things, the way that they're going about making these new Mega Evolutions is as if that they just don't like it. That they're just giving it to the fans just to shut them up. Because that was one of the biggest things that people liked about Pokemon were the Mega Evolutions. And the whole Starmie thing just blew my mind. I was literally in a chat with Wolf and his brother, and then his brother posted the the Mega Starmie, and I'm literally looking at it like, this can't be real. This absolutely can't be real. And then Wolf typed it in. Wolf was like, nah, this is not real. And then I was looking it up, and it is real. They just elongated his legs, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I would have been okay if you guys gave him extra legs, kind of like when we was in grade school and we would always make the ninja stars with extra stars and then we would add more points to them. I would have been okay with Starmie looking like that. But to take his legs and elongate it and then just say you're done, I was like, wow, are you guys really doing that little work? Because backstory for those of you who followed the podcast, we have spoken on numerous occasions about our college days and what we were pursuing. And one of the things were for me was game design, and so we had to utilize this program called Maya, where we had to create 3D figures and render them. And the only thing that they've done with the Starmie model essentially was they took a lot of the vertices, so the points for each model. I don't want to go into further detail about like the different terms or whatnot, but basically they took certain points of the legs and just brought them down, and that was it. That was all they did. It was a simple click and drag, and then utilize I believe it's the y axis, and just pull that arrow down to make the legs longer, and that was essentially it. So I was just shocked at like the lack of work and innovation that they didn't even bother to do to make this Pokemon, which is a very lovable Pokemon. I did not know that there was a lot of Starmie lovers out there, especially with its shiny version, which is like one of the most, arguably one of the best color schemes that they have in like the Pokemon shiny category. I can't believe they did that. I can't believe that they just pulled the legs, and that was essentially it. You know. Um, and a couple of good things about LZA is that the game seems to run really well from what I'm seeing. I've never played the game. I haven't purchased this. I have no intentions of purchasing it. I just saw videos and like the footage that Endemion has put on his video. And it looks like it runs pretty good. The battling looks pretty interesting. There looks like there's a mechanic where you as the trainer can get hit as well, because there were certain instances where um, the player was running away from AoE moves. So for those of you who play like MMOs, like Final Fantasy and whatnot, where you see like a big radius on the ground or something that you got to run away from, that's what the trainer was essentially doing. So it looks like the trainer can get hit as well, and that looks pretty cool. And it gave a realistic element to Pokemon because of the fact that you yourself can get hit. I believe they did that in Pokemon Legends Arceus as well, where you, the trainer, was getting hit too. I don't recall on that. So there's some good things about the game, but it's just, in my opinion, not enough. It's not enough. I'm not a fan of the game being secluded into one area, as Gunnar already mentioned. Um, I'm used to going to different places within a region. I don't like the Safari Zone atmosphere. It feels like where you have to go into certain zones within the city to essentially capture Pokemon. I'm not a fan of that, and I don't like the lazy designs of the Mega Evolutions. Granted, there were some that were pretty cool, like Hawlucha looked pretty cool. Personally, I think the starters for X and Y looked cool, especially Greninja with the Ninja Star, which was subtle but effective. Like, he looked cool aesthetically as a Pokemon already, so give him a big Ninja Star that he could hang from, because he is a ninja. Um, that looked cool. The Harry Potter Pokemon, I forget its name. It's the evolution of Fennekin. And then
Delphox.
Delphox. Okay, I only remember Fennekin and Braxian. Um, and then you have the other guy there or whatever. So they all looked really cool, and they added a lot of creativity to that. But when you have Dragonite, um, when you have what is his name?
Victory Bell.
Yeah, Victory Bell. I wasn't thinking of Victory Bell. I was thinking more so of the squid one. But when we saw like the video,
Malamar.
yeah, Malamar. But when I saw like the anatomy, it kind of sort of made a bit more sense. When we saw like the correlation between it and the brain and whatnot, it made a little more sense to me. So I kind of like put that on the like intriguing pile. Yeah, but when you have Victory Bell, when you have Dragonite, it's like, and when you have Starmie, it's like, guys, are you really taking it seriously? You know what I'm saying? It could also be that they are playing favoritism to certain Pokemon. They probably, even though the fans love Starmie, they probably don't like Starmie, so they did that to Starmie. So who knows? Who knows? There could be some biases there too, because I can't just front on that they're making lazy Mega Evolutions when there are some that looks cool in this same game that's been introduced. Um, but yeah, I feel like I've been rambling on long enough. I know I have like maybe a few more points to like kind of discuss later on. But what say you, Wolf? Like, what's your take on the video and also like the overall game that's been released and other points that Endemion may have touched on?
um, hmm. Well, I think he hit a lot of good points in terms of like when he said the franchise isn't going to go anywhere because it's too much of a powerhouse. And what really brought it home for me is when he showed, I guess, the revenue or the not the revenue, the financial worth of the franchise in comparison to like Hello Kitty. It it was like that's an eye opener for real. It really was an eye opener because it's a huge jump from what it he said it was what $146 billion
I believe
compared to
so.
Hello Kitty's like 89 billion.
And he
Like
combined other like companies as well.
franchises, Dragon Ball Z, the
Gundam.
Gundam series, stuff like that. He added up Harry Potter. He added it all up, and he was like, even then, so the Pokemon franchise is still overpowering or still dominating in comparison to them.
Hmm.
Um, which I expected as much coming from this kind of franchise. I did expect as much that they would remain on top and they're going to be king for a while. Um, when it came down to Matsuda running the franchise for the periods of time he did run it for, I agree 100% with his Iron Fist method. If you weren't willing to put something out on the good on the table, then you shouldn't be a part of it to begin with. And I know it sounds very harsh because everybody in today's day and age is all about include me, and my subpar way of thinking. Um, it's a very, I'm going to say for lack of a better word, because I'm also a little frustrated with this game and everything that's going on with this franchise. But it is, I like the fact that he weeded out the pussies.
Mm.
And I'm just going to say it straight like that. I love that. And in the end of the day, if you are going to put something out there that is going to make money and you are expecting your fans to stick to and spend their hard-earned money on, you shouldn't be putting out slop. You shouldn't be putting out slop. And my favorite franchise or generation is Generation 4, which he did work on. Generation 4 was so good that even though the remake of Generation 4 was crappy, it only sold a few million less copies than the original Generation 4, which didn't go, they didn't sell that much simply because it was supposedly a more updated version. They sold it mostly because of the franchise, but also partially because of the nostalgia. That's why I bought Diamond, Brilliant Diamond. It was 100% nostalgia for me. I could have skipped it, but I wanted the nostalgia of my favorite generation, which he did work on. He gave us Generation 4 has the, in my personal opinion, and I'm going to die on this hill. Generation 4 across the board has the best designs, in my personal opinion, of all 1,100 of them.
I agree.
Consistently. Like every generation has like a handful you can really pull and say, okay, these look cool, these look really nice. But Generation 4 was like release after release after release, showing up a new one or putting it out there. It was like and then Infernape. You gave me Infernape, So it was like we getting X and Y. X and Y I didn't dislike. I thought X and Y had the best online capability especially when it came down to like trading, when it came down to battling. The online was easy. It was pretty much user friendly as it should be for a DS game. No issues with it whatsoever. And I loved the Mega Evolutions. I thought they were the best thing that can happen to this franchise altogether. And I supported it 100. I supported it 100%.
Hmm.
But then Galar, no. And then even more so Scarlet Violet. Scarlet Violet, I think, could have been really, really good if it didn't have all the glitches that it had. And I really did like Scarlet Violet's story. I like the fact that the game didn't start off with a man or a woman in a coat, in a white coat, giving you your first options. Then you're training that first options to go to the first gym. I like the fact that a part of the story was you trying to discover what happened to the professor of your town, only to find out that due to their scientific curiosity, they met their demise.
Oh,
I thought
that's
it
what
was a
happened.
nice,
I didn't
yeah,
finish it, so I don't know.
yeah. You find out in the end that they died,
That's pretty
and
dark. Okay.
who was guiding you the whole time was past recordings of them, and like the computer downloaded their memory
Conscious. Yeah.
conscious and went ahead and was just like trying to work off their conscience through you. But you were dealing with with a character who had already passed away.
Interesting.
Oh, that
Um,
is so disappointing because if the game
yeah,
functioned, I would have definitely pulled through the story because I was
yeah.
intrigued.
It's one of the darkest. It's one of the most realistic stories, in my personal opinion. When I say realistic, is because one, the original story says that when you're 10 years old, you go out on your own adventure, yada 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 yada.
Hmm.
But if you really think about it, there were no rules and regulations for a 10-year-old to be out on the road by himself with dangerous creatures, whether they're fantasy creatures or not. You understand? Like there was no real regulations behind it. Like who is really monitoring a 10-year-old like Ash or Misty or Brock? Who is monitoring these kids?
Hmm.
Like in the end of the day, does this world just feel like children at 10 years old is capable of controlling an electric rat? Like that just doesn't make sense to me. So when Paldea came around, which is the most current generation, when Paldea came around, it was like, okay, you can use them, you can have a team, you can train, but you're going to do it under these regulations. You're going to go to this school. This school is going to teach you how to do it. You're going to follow these rules. We're going to, put you in a class where if you want to become a breeder, you can. If you want to become a trainer, you can. If you want to become a contestant, you can. Like
Hmm.
it made more sense to me because they were kids and you are always playing the role of a kid.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, then there's the gym badges. And I mean, it was conventional where you fight them, you fight the gym leaders, you beat the gym leaders give you a badge, you go to the league, you beat the league. That was the most conventional part of it all, but it was still controlled through the Paldea school system. Because remember, there was like I believe, if I remember right, some of your badges was locked up until you did certain things for your school.
I believe so. It
So,
was like certain
yeah,
missions and stuff. Like you had to.
mission, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was really tied into controlling a minor in terms of like making sure that they're safe and whatever, right? Although it's still a game and you still had to explore, so it's like very minimal, but at least it presented there was a presence there for it. And then you find out that the professor, whether you pick the future game or the past game, that the professor that you looked up to so much due to their own curiosity and venturing out to lands that they weren't sure was going to happen, the very things that they were studying is what ends up killing them, or what ends up causing their demise to begin with, whether it's the future Pokemon or the past Pokemon, depending on which game you play. And I thought that was a very realistic thing, much like Crocodile Dundee passed away from a stingray piercing his chest. He passed away doing what he loved, and what he loved ended up taking his life. That's a real thing that happens.
Hmm.
People who like climbing skyscrapers. Some of them have passed away from doing it because they mess up and then they fall.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was a very eye opener for the franchise, and I thought it was really cool. Like I said, it had really nice things about it, but it's just that we we got we as the fans enabled a whole game company to give us slop, and no matter how much it tasted bad, we continued eating. And
Yeah.
now, yeah, now they're at this point where they just don't give a fuck. Like, for instance, with the new games coming out, like you were saying in the video, with the diversity and inclusion, changing Nurse Joy into a black character. I'm a black person. I don't want Nurse Joy to be a like I didn't grow up on Nurse Joy design the way it is now. I grew up with a different design for her. Now, if you're gonna use a nurse, change the character altogether. Give us a whole new nurse
Well, it could
and then
be.
make
It
her
could
black.
be a new. It could be a new nurse that they just haven't like. They, according to the video, they haven't really specified who the nurse
Yeah,
would
but she
be.
even has the same hairstyle and the same hair color.
Well, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
because they were all because if you look at if you look at like all the different iterations, like the generations, like there were subtle changes to like I don't know if that was considered still Nurse Joy, but it was kind of based off the aesthetic. You can say it was Nurse Joy, but
It was Nurse Joy.
they did look different. So I
They
I don't know.
Nurse Joys have had different designs, but it's always been a consistent makeup or consistent what you call it, template.
Okay, because I remember that in the
Right.
show that they were all the same, and then in the
Right.
game I know
It
that they
was
looked
always
aesthetically
mm, it was
different.
it was always a consistent template from for Nurse Joy. And then now you completely like not completely change it, but you kept the template and you just made the skin dark. Like for me, that's not like I don't feel like I'm being included into this. What I feel like is that you're ruining my fucking childhood. That's what I feel like. Like
Yeah.
if you wanted to change it, change the character altogether. Just say this region there are no Nurse Joys, and this is Nurse, I don't know, Shaquana. To
Or
all I
put
fucking care.
put in a or you could just put in a black professor. I mean, that would have been because the
Or a
professors
black
changed too,
professor.
you know.
Right? Because professors change. Your rifles have changed. Numa is, I think that's her name, Numa for Violet and Scarlet. She's dark colored, and I really love her design. I think as a design wise, I think she was a really nice rival for you.
The
And then there's
water, the water
the
gym
water
leader.
ward from Gala. Oh my gosh, I am so in love with that character. Shit, that character is so awesome.
Wait, that was
But
Gal.
design
That was
wise, you
Gala. I
can't.
thought that was Sun. It's not Sun and Moon. Alola. It's not Alola.
No, Alola is this short haired one with like super. She has on like booty shorts.
That wasn't
That's Alola.
that wasn't Galar because that wasn't that the fighting one
No,
with the short with the
Gala.
white hair.
No, Gala has the fighting one with the short hair, but they also have the water one.
Oh, okay. It's
Um,
been a while,
yeah.
so
And then um in Omega Red and Alpha Sapphire. No, I'm sorry, I'm getting them confused. In Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, they changed the designs of Team Magma and Team Aqua, and I thought that was fine because it was a overhaul, like a redesign of the whole game in itself. So I thought that was okay. And then with on Team Aqua's side, the second best or the second in command character, she obviously is a darker skinned character, and I thought her design was amazing as well. So there are designs that they have implemented with quote unquote black characters, and I fell in love with every single one of them. But the Nurse Joy one that I saw in the video, it should just turn me off. It just turned me off because it's like all these characters for the most part are new characters. They're developed from the ground up and then put into the game. So I can accept that better. But now you're changing what I know my characters to be for my supposedly favorite franchise. of any video game series.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of it's a lot of things that's really pissing me off with this franchise. It's a lot of things that's really pissing me off with Nintendo. I felt Masuda had it right. I feel sometimes you cannot, if you cannot pull your weight, then yes, you will be eliminated. That is exactly how the world works. That's how any job works. That's how survival works. You have to be able to pull your weight. You can't pull your weight, get the fuck out. Move
Yeah.
on to the next, because there's somebody who can do your job and is eager for a chance.
Yep.
So for them to remove him knowing that he was getting results, I don't care how big his head got. I don't care, because he was bringing in the results. He was, regardless of it, he was still bringing in results, and that's what should have mattered. Now you change them out for some pansy who's giving me fucking um all this propaganda in my franchise that I don't want, and lazy designs as well. I won't even say lazy, just straight up ugly. Ugly. I'm okay with Dragonite, to be honest with you. I am. It's not something, again, that I jump towards seeing and I'm like, oh my gosh, that looks so cool. No, but again, he's very consistent with the old megas, and I'm gonna stick to that. So I'm okay with Dragonite. I think Dragalge looks really nice. I think what's the other one? Drampa. I think it's Drampa.
I didn't see Drampa yet.
He's like all black or something like that. But he didn't go too far. They didn't really deviate too far from how he original designed, which is what the games should be. You should not, the Mega Evolution shouldn't be deviating too much from their design. But then I saw Starmie. Starmie is literally one of my top 10 in favorites. And I saw Starmie and I was like, I closed the chat and I reopened it and I was like, I don't believe this is real. I think my brother found like someone who probably hacked the game. Because, today's day and age, it's very easy with AI technology to do things. So I thought it was like, yo, this is AI. Someone hacked the game and just put in there. I was, and then I saw the video of him running around like Usain Bolt on in the in the little arena, and I was like, oh my fucking god, they did not do this. They gave him legs. They gave it legs. Of all the designs that you can have in a starfish, if they had just Googled starfish, do you know how many different designs of starfish there is in the ocean? To the point where some of them look alien. Like, even if they went with that to a more alien look for it, for its mega evolution, I would have been fine with it. Because a lot of the things in the ocean, a lot of those types of creatures in the ocean, they do look alien like when comparison to a normal fish that's, swimming at the top of the water. So, but instead, you make him run, you gave him legs and he's running around the field.
As a guy who wasn't interested in the game, I found that very amusing because he looked like how insects run, where they just scuttle. And he'll like
Yes,
scuttle and stop. And it's just like, well, he's not a bug
exactly.
Pokemon, so that's very odd. Um,
It,
Go off,
it,
King.
it's so what the it's like I was like, no, this legitimately cannot be real. I didn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. I spent about a half hour of my work schedule looking up different videos to see if this is an actual thing. And it turns out it is. And I was like, wow, wow. Um, so a lot of them really don't have good designs. And I'm starting to think that, yeah, maybe either A, they didn't want to do it and they're stuck doing it because that's what was promised for development.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more like, okay, let's just push these out because we got to get the next game out and it's gonna sell anyways. Or B, um, they are trying to destroy a legacy that Masuda himself was a huge part of because he was a big part of the Mega Evolutions before he was removed from X and Y. Um, so I'm thinking it's various things. It could be spite, or it could be just like a lack of interest in trying to make something aesthetically pleasing. Because like it could have been ugly to me, even okay, how can I put this? The design could have still been ugly to me, but it doesn't mean that I would have said they put no effort into it. Much like I said, Dragonite. I don't like Dragonite's design, but I can tell they put effort into it. I can tell that they was like, okay, we're bringing back Mega Evolutions. Dragonite got to be one of them. Give us some ideas. And what they came up with Dragonite, I think is just fine for what Dragonite is. I think it's just fine personally.
Yeah, it's
But
it's fine,
then,
but I don't think they put as much effort in it. It's like a logo that you just hit want, like somebody actually create a logo and you just really hit the nail on what they want within that first 10 minutes, and it was like, yes, this is amazing, let's keep that. I think that's as far as they went with Dragonite. It's one of those things where, to me, it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing, but based upon the explanation that we had in the last filming about Pokemon, it's like, you know what, it makes sense because it complements who Dragonite is and who his previous evolution was. So they gave him the long Dragonair tail, and they gave him extra wings because he flies really fast. And him having those extra set of wings will probably make him fly even faster. So that's where it makes sense to me. But I think they just went completely lazy with it. I personally, I could
mm,
be wrong. I could be wrong. But
I
yeah,
feel like when it comes to Mega Evolutions, the designs shouldn't change much. It should be an enhancement that's
Yeah, I
temporary,
could agree with that.
right?
yeah.
Not
So make his wings longer, like the original
not
wings
a
that you have.
not a complete change. Like most of them, like I said, are good designs, such as Skarmory, Mega Evolution Skarmory. All he did was look more sleek, like a jet, and they turned him gold. And I think that's a very fine design for him because it shouldn't deviate too much away from what the original design is.
Yeah,
Um, but then you have fucking like I can't take Mega M Bar seriously. I really can't. And then there's Mega Meganium. I can't take it serious. She looks like a bouquet, you know? And then Mega Victreebel as well. So it's like this a lot of them, these new designs I don't like at all for the most part. But it doesn't mean that I can't justify in the simple fact that it follows what it should be in terms of like the standard that was set. A lot of them do. I won't lie to you. A lot of them do that was just released. Um, but they're just not the way I would design them as a person. And that's okay because we all can have our opinions.
yeah.
Um,
Because my
yeah.
my thing when it comes to like the evolutions, like just by the definition and just by like the sequence of what we were accustomed to with Pokemon as a whole, when you see the evolution between Charmander, Charmeleon, and then Charizard, like they're they're subtle but stark differences between the two evolutions. Like you can see the subtle changes. Like, okay, well, Charmander the Charmeleon, okay, his tail got longer, there's bigger flames. He also has the horn, but he also has like the bigger claws and things like that. And then Charizard is like, okay, now he got wings, he's even bigger, longer tail, elongated neck and whatnot. Like, that is a good evolution. But it looks like what they did was kind of like did what they did. It's kind of what they did with some of these mega evolutions is like what they did with Snivy, whereas like Snivy kind of regressed. You know what I'm saying? He kind of downgraded. He went from Snivy, I forgot what the middle version was, but then went to Superior. And it's like, how you go from a creature with hands to a snake? It, even though there is evolution that does help with that, because evolution is also contingent upon where you are in terms of like your living space. So if you're like on the land and you become aquatic, then you're going to adapt to the aquatic surroundings, and most likely, I guess that's maybe what Superior was. But it was like, you're a grass Pokemon. Like you're all the other grass Pokemon for the most part have hands to some degree, with the exception of Victory Bell. But Victory. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just feel like the evolution was just, it was super lazy. But
So, and yeah, what the whole single map thing is, I don't, I wouldn't know how to gauge that. Things like that doesn't bother me. Um, I do have to think about it being a hinder to, I guess, the game loading overall, because it's a lot of stress on the Switch.
Yeah, that's mostly what
Um,
it is. It's like
yeah.
usually some games, well, a lot of games, if it's a giant world, they'll just load the parts you're in. So, like, if for Elden Ring example, if you're on one side of the Elden Ring map, the other side isn't loaded. It'll load when you get closer to it, so the game continues to run smoothly. The fact that essentially the whole city, which is, for lack of a better word, is the whole world for this game, is constantly active, is cool, because if you know Pokemon are doing things even if you're not there, but it does place more of a stress on the city. That's why if you like look at images and videos, I'm sure you guys have seen some of like the city, like everything looks flat, as in like literal flat.
Hmm.
Windows don't have any definition to them, balconies are
Hmm.
flat. It's basically to reduce the stress on the the system, and I think they could have done that by not having the whole map load. So that's just that about the whole loading thing.
Hmm. Okay, I see.
they could
And
have.
sorry to interrupt, I just want to finish getting my points across.
Yeah.
Um, so yes, again, I'm disappointed with the designs, especially Starmie. Meganium I didn't care about. To be honest, Greninja didn't get that much of a change. It's just upside down with like a slight cross between Ash Greninja and the original design. Um, so it's again, here's the thing. I looked further into it and I said to myself, it's in my top 10. It got to be good in some way. Competitively speaking, Mega Starmie kicks ass.
Yeah, isn't it like one of the fastest water types?
No, Mega Starmie becomes an extremely heavy hitting kind of Pokemon with with a great amount of speed, a great amount of attack. It's what we would define it in the older generation. I don't know if they still use these terminologies now. It's what you would define as a sweeper. So sweepers are like glass cannon characters where they have high offense but low defense. So sweepers typically have high speed and attack, or high speed and special attack, and they can hit really hard. They get moves that hits really hard. So they're your DPS on your team. And this Pokemon does not disappoint in terms of stats and abilities and typing. So it's like, what the fuck were y'all doing? Did like y'all wanted to make it ugly because it's gonna see scene anyways? Like, what was going on here? And now I'm looking at Mega Greninja. Mega Greninja doesn't disappoint as well. He's has an absurdly amount of stats given to him again as a type of Pokemon that's extremely offensive. Um, Great typing again. He didn't get any new abilities, which is good because his abilities already is good. So, he it like again, it's they still gonna see play because they're good. which goes back to what I had said last time in our lad podcast about these. As long as they're good, they're still gonna see play, despite their really bad designs. More so to esoteric because he's he's fallen over from these bad looking designs.
No,
Whereas I know Gunner could care less.
Yeah.
no,
I
I
find the Starmie incredibly funny. I think it's nightmare fuel, but I like it because it is.
listen. I absolutely get it. I mean, typically, in any competitive scene, the funniest looking character is usually the one with the best stats, the best priority. I mean, Zangief, as doofy as he looks, is a pretty solid character. Like he owns people in Street Fighter Six. He has like zero frames on his grabs and whatnot. You know, it takes skill to use him, but he's an effective character. And there's a lot of games like that as well, where like the characters that I wouldn't find aesthetically pleasing are the ones that are good. I mean, at the end of the day, um, Pokemon competitors aren't looking for whether or not the Pokemon looks cool. If
No,
it
we're
is
not.
cool, it's icing on the cake. It's like, all right, fine.
Exactly.
This frosting is good, but what they're looking for is, okay, is this a good pound cake? Is this a good red velvet cake? Does this suck?
Hmm.
Things like that. So I absolutely get it.
Yeah.
I absolutely get it. It's just like, you know, it's just a matter of the lazy design in my personal opinion. Um, and again, now that I think about it, it could be more to it. It could be, since it's predominantly children that they're catering to for these games. Could it be that they want to keep these Pokemon recognizable, so they didn't want to do anything too much with Starmie to appease the kids, because maybe the kids would not fully recognize Starmie? Or could it be an animation perspective where it's like, well, okay, if we make Starmie any crazier than we want to, how would it look in terms of like the anime and stuff? Because a lot of these things are pretty much essentially recycled, in the sense of, okay, well, we made the Pokemon in the game, now we have to make it way more animated in terms of the anime. And the way that Pokemon has been going is simplicity. Because if you look at the phenomenal aesthetics and animation from Pokemon Gen 1 to where it went, to me, like the best looking was around uh, Black and White and X and Y, where Ash was well defined and stuff like that. Like the eyes had certain colors within it. It was super vibrant. The detail in every character was like phenomenally drawn, to the simplicity of like Sun and Moon, where they just made him kind of look like a cartoon character on Cartoon Network, which I can understand, because from an animation perspective, it's less to have to worry about in terms of animating certain Pokemon and certain attacks that they do. I did see the decline in the aesthetics, but I did see the elevation in the animation and in what they do. So
Yes,
maybe
that's
that's
why
what.
they did it. Yeah.
Yeah. So then maybe that's why they're
Mhm.
doing it with this game as well, to make it translate better for the Pokemon series. So who knows? There's so many different approaches and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, there's probably a method to the madness, but in this case, what I'm going to discuss next is probably not a method to the madness, which I absolutely don't understand. Another topic that Gunnar and myself was talking about prior to taping of this is voice acting. Um, what I don't understand is that, and I'm gonna give the kudos to Gunnar, because he brought that point up well before I did. But I made the point of, they have redundancy. Like, all the Pokemon that are being introduced in each platform has said words in the anime, and and the characters as well. So like, why is it that we're not getting voice acting? Like the voice acting could be done on the cartoon side of things or the game side of things, and then be transferred over to the anime side of things, because I see that there's reusability there, because you can just take the same actors and actresses and utilize their voices in said game or said anime. And with how prominent AI is, you can take certain sentences along with the cadence within their voices and utilize that to create the dialogue for the game. So I personally don't understand why they don't move forward with voice acting
But you
for these
do you
games.
do understand though. You do understand, and I'm not.
Oh, you talking about
We don't.
money?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. And again, if all right, if you came to my restaurant
Mm-hmm.
and you asked for a cheeseburger, right?
Okay.
And I give you this little piece of ground beef, really dry, overcooked ground beef, and I gave you some craft slice of the craft brand of American cheese slice
Mm-hmm.
on your burger, and I gave you some flimsy old lettuce, and I said, "Here's your cheeseburger," and you ate it, and you paid me my, I don't know, $8, for example. You paid me my $8 for that cheeseburger. I am not inclined to giving you a better beef patty later.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
You understand? And that's what's happening here. And it's always going to go back to the money because, again, people have to understand that whether it's sports, whether it's TV shows, whether it's video games, nobody is in any of those type of businesses because they just want to please people. It's
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
making the money. It's about making the money. So if they are putting it out there and people are, come on, Diamond and Pearl, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl came out in a day and age where they could have done voice acting on the 3DS. Was it with what he said they sold? 12 million, 13 million copies? No voice acting?
Yeah.
Why am I doing that? Why am I going to pay this actor or actress that was hired from said studio to then pay them to put them in the game, then pay the programmers extra to program the audio for the game so that their sound bits make sense, so that their lip syncing is on? If when I put the game out on the shelf, people are going to buy it anyway. It's our fault as the fans. It's my fault as a fan. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to take 100% accountability. I bought Sun and Moon. I bought uh, a Sword and Shield, and I bought Scarlet and Violet. So I contributed to the problem. And I'm not going to sit here and try to sugarcoat it. I did. But it's the money. It's me making sure they get every single penny's worth and can get as many pennies back for whatever effort they put in. And that's just that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing else around it. That's what it is. They don't have to do it.
Yeah. These
They don't.
companies work with the less is more mentality. I get that.
Yeah.
And hey man, it is rough because we all saw, because we're talking about the video, we saw at the end, it's all over the internet, of that character with the concert supposedly singing a song, and there's no song being sung, and he's just, I'm gonna assume it's a he. It looked like a he to me. Um,
It
is
is. Yeah,
just
it
singing,
is.
and all you hear is like the crowd. So they have ambience in like crowd ambience, but it's like he's just there's no sound coming out, and it's so weird. But like Wolf said, if this game makes $16 billion or however much, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, I don't like doing it, but everybody's making comparisons to the new Digimon game that's out, and
Yeah,
they're
I
like,
read that. I read about that. Yeah.
yeah, like everybody's like, this game has voice acting, all the Digimon, because in that world Digimon speak words, they don't make growls, they're all voiced, the campaign is voiced, but it's just like, they have to do that because Digimon just does. Digimon lost the monster catching war of the 90s. It's still around. Digimon fans like myself will support Digimon games, and I like those more than Pokemon games. But Digimon they can't phone it in like Nintendo. They have to do well. Nintendo has proven that with Pokemon that they don't have to. It's like I I don't give you voice acting and you make my game the best-selling game of this year on all platforms. So it's like I'm not going to give you voice acting. And I'm like I've been looking at somebody playing the game while we've been filming this podcast, and I don't know if this person's running it on a Switch 2 or a Switch. I tuned in while they were playing. It doesn't, besides the map looking very like flat literally, it doesn't look terrible. Like I think
No, yeah.
the characters look good, the Pokemon are serviceable. The combat's weird because it's like you can run around, but it doesn't mean anything. So it's like, why have you run around? I don't know, but like it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look. To me, it looks better than Scarlet Violet. It looks more appealing. And that's why this game will be successful, and that's why Nintendo doesn't have to change. Because if you're more of a normie in Pokemon than I am with it, you're just gonna see, oh, it's a cool little neat game where I capture cool monsters and I run around and beat people up, and that's it. That's all they need. That's all they need. So like, I agree. The lack of voice acting is very jarring, and it triggers the shit out of me. But hey, this game will do incredibly well, and they won't need voice acting. And the next game that comes out will probably not have voice acting, and it will also do well. Like Nintendo is this weird thing where I truly think when it comes to Pokemon, it is too big to fail. I don't know what could cause Pokemon to fail other than the heat death of the universe. I don't know. I don't know what can cause Pokemon to fail because everything that Pokemon is not doing or cheaping out on would bankrupt any other company.
Any other, yeah, exactly,
Like,
exactly. It would bankrupt any other franchise.
yeah,
Like even Zelda had to be reworked to
yeah,
have voice acting in it.
Yeah.
Samus has voice acting in it. Metroid, I should say, has voice acting in it now. It Any other franchise.
like Fire Emblem, one of the key at the time, back in ye old Nintendo days, one of their main franchises was about to be shelved until we added waifus and the ability to make babies. Like
And voice acting.
and voice that, but Pokemon is just like, nah, bro.
It
$70, buy my game.
it can't fuck up. It
It
just
can't.
it can't. And again, it's because children are being made every day. Some of them are twins, some of them are triplets. And then 10 years from now, the parent is buying not one copy, two copies, because the game comes out in typically pairs. And if you have more than one child and they're interested, you're buying more than two copies.
Yeah. It was
And
three
there's the
copies in my
plushies,
household.
right? There's the plushies, there's the cards, there's the anime, all of that. It's like literally a perfect circle of business. It is a perfect circle of business, and you're just not gonna break that bond between all their items that follows that franchise. So it's and again, it's unfortunate because we are older, so we expect more. But I can't have this conversation with a 10-year-old for them to understand. You understand what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it's not gonna work like that
Yeah, you're
for them
right.
to understand.
You're right. I mean, I mean, the same premise could be said of like us growing up. I'm pretty sure our parents or anybody who's older than us that was into games but weren't like into Pokemon were like, well, why would you play this game? This is like boring as hell. Like, you know.
Mm.
So I think that's always going to be the revolving door of the conversation being had in terms of like what we enjoyed as Pokemon because Pokemon is probably going to live beyond our years. Um, like what we
Probably.
enjoyed about Pokemon versus what our kids enjoyed about Pokemon versus about what the kids like. It's kind of like music, right? Whereas like how uh, growing up we didn't appreciate um, the music that our that the generations before us had. I mean, we did appreciate it, but as kids, we was like, oh, we like our music or whatever. And then the generations before us, we like, I don't know why you listen to this garbage. And then now we have music currently that we enjoy, and then we're like, the next generation is like, oh, this is the best thing since sliced bread, and we're like, no, this is hot garbage on the dumpster. Um, Even though it is absolutely true. I think that's the conversation that's going to be had about Pokemon in terms of like back in our days, this is how Pokemon was, and then back in their days, and then back in the next generation days, and so on and so forth. I think that's what it's going to be. But in terms of the revolving door, Pokemon has a revolving door of success. They know what they're doing in terms of who their audience is, and I think they threw they threw us somewhat of a bone to some degree because they separated the two like entities of the game, whereas the children are more into like the story and the fluff and like running around the city and whatnot, and the more focus aspect for the adults, because let's be for real, it's mostly the adults that does the competitive play. They're separating it for champions in 2026. So it could be that they're moving forward. They're like, you know what? We understand that the adults don't care about all the stuff that comes into a Pokemon game now because they're adults, been there, done that. It's always the same story. So we're just going to focus on this for the kids. And then for the adults who mostly care about the competitive aspect, we're just going to give you Stadium 5.0. We're going to give you access to all Pokemon. You can allocate your stats accordingly. You don't have to worry about IV training, going through the mundane story every time, walking hundreds of thousands of steps to hatch an egg. We're just going to give you the bare bones of what you want. Kind of like, I guess they're becoming more like Call of Duty. Here's your story mode here, and if you want multiplayer, here it is for you there. So, it's just where does that leave people like myself who is in between like
Gotta pick a side or find
Pick a
find
side.
another franchise.
Right.
yeah, I
Pick
know, I
you
just gotta
let's
go
pick
back.
a side.
I just gotta go back.
I know the side I've already picked. So for me, I will be using Starmie. I don't give a fuck how ugly it is, but I will admit it is ugly. But I will be using it because it potentially stat wise and what I see of it so far, it will bring results or it can bring results. But what I love about one thing I do love about the franchise is that you'll never know where it's gonna go because it can have some amazing stats, move pools, setups, and everything like that. And just based on how the metagame works, it just doesn't work for the metagame.
Yeah, or it's missing that
So
one move that'll make it perfect.
that'll make it it just right, so like that's one of the beauties about it. So I'm looking at a lot of these megas and I'm looking at their stats and I'm looking at their typing and I'm looking at the changes to them and I'm like, these things could work competitively speaking, but at the end of the day, like I said in the previous podcast, it all depends on, will they work better with an item? Because if they work better with an item, you can't mega evolve it. Will they work better with their base stats? Because
Eevee Lightstone.
sometimes,
Yeah.
right, so it's like all these things come into play to really say, which would really allow you to determine whether they are good or not. Um, but yeah, it's again everything that he was saying. I do feel like removing Matsuda away from the franchise was the worst thing the franchise could have gone through. And I do understand that, okay, if the rumors are true or if the documents are true, or even what the YouTuber is saying is true, if it is true and it was getting to his head, sometimes you have to lose the battle to win the war because he was producing games that were actual games.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that's
if dealing with him was a battle, the war is producing good content for your customers,
but here's
and
the
you were winning that war.
but here's the thing. From our perspective, they lost the war. From their perspective, they won the war because they're producing less for more revenue. So it's like we lost the war. They just, for him, it was just a battle to like pretty much get rid of to proceed with the war. So it's
Yeah,
all
because then
about perspective.
they put this new one in. He gave us two horrible games, And now they have someone else with this particular game, and maybe they're doing something good, maybe they're not. But again, it's rumored that the next game is going to be about, again, arbitrary social propaganda. That's going to be the focus of that game. And if that is the case, then maybe, just maybe, that's the downfall that it needs to for them to realize that they can't, like, they
Yeah,
just can't put anything in the game.
if they really go with this like this freaking global initiative garbo, and it's just like we're gonna have to stop slavery in order for you to get a gym badge. If we start doing that, then yeah, maybe that'll be the thing that, like, I don't even know if brings down Pokemon, but kind of like dents Pokemon. Finally leaves a dent in their, unblemished armor. Because if you got to do some of that stuff, it's just like, wait, then Pokemon as a concept doesn't work because I'm enslaving these animals to fight each other for my enjoyment. Like, the concept of Pokemon doesn't work. But I hope those are just rumors. Um, in the video, he showed that Nintendo Pokemon's involved in Pride parades, and there's specifically POC, and there's a bunch of garbage with this. Um, so I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility for the next Pokemon game. I think it's career suicide if they do that, especially in today's political climate, because people are a lot less tolerant of that. And if we go back to what we were talking about, that kids play these games, parents buy these games for kids. So if the parents are even mildly aware of this stuff, they're not buying their kids these Pokemon games. And
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
don't know if the Nintendo adults are enough to save it. Um, Nintendo adults are a powerful force, but I don't know. We'll see. But I don't like that type of. I can get into it and we'd be here for 3 hours. I don't like that kind of stuff, and it does, like Wolf said, scream of propaganda. And I don't care what side of the propaganda aisle you're on. I don't want it in video games. Just let it be about me training cool monsters and going on a cool adventure. Just let it be that. That's all Pokemon should be.
Yeah. So
Mm.
so about that, I don't think Pokemon is going to fail even if they implement that. Now, I will say I don't think it's appropriate for that type of game. There's always been propaganda injected into certain video games, but they were mostly geared towards adults, which I'm perfectly fine with because if that's what you want to play, that's fine. It is what it is. I mean, like Metal Gear Solid has its own propaganda and agenda and stuff and whatnot, and there's other games that kind of inject different themes within the social propaganda construct. I don't think Pokemon is the genre of games for that, especially considering that it's even though adults do play it, it's definitely geared more towards children, and I think children should just be able to should enjoy just the gameplay and the wonderful adventure that is Pokemon, which is about a person around their age pursuing an adventure, catching Pokemon, and potentially saving the world or whatever journey that they got going on within whatever game that they play. Uh, Moving on though, I don't think that it would do anything to Pokemon because Pokemon is such a big conglomerate in itself that there's other things that are there are other like little mini things from Pokemon that are propelling them to make money as well. Like you have the Pokemon tournaments. You have like all these other avenues and streams of income that other people utilize to make money. So and then with for lack of a better term, the absence in terms of like games when it comes to parents, because I've walked into GameStop and I've seen kids walk out with Call of Duties and Grand Theft Autos and things like that. If this like social thing was a something that's being implemented in Pokemon, I don't think the parents would be privy to it because of the continuous pattern I've seen with parents buying stuff where it blatantly says on the cover of the game, mature audiences only, 18 plus, etc., etc. You know, the ESRB that was created because of Mortal Kombat. I still see parents still buy those things for their children. So I don't. It might cause a chink in the armor, but I don't think it's gonna be what breaks the entire armor of
No,
Pokemon. They'll probably
I don't
lose a
think so.
couple of million, but will they lose anything close to a billion? Nah, absolutely not. And
No.
they'll just revert back to, like, if it does do bad in sales, the next game is just gonna revert back to what they've been doing. And people have lizard brain nowadays, so they're just gonna be like, "Oh, I hated this Pokemon, but this Pokemon is awesome. Let's continue. Let's play it. Yeah, this is what I wanted." So it's not gonna do anything to Pokemon, in my opinion. Absolutely nothing.
I don't think it won't do. I don't think I'm not going to say that it won't absolutely do anything. I think it will. It will definitely affect the criticism.
Yeah.
Definitely will affect the criticism because in the end of the day, all these major brand companies that picked up these propagandas, a lot of them have dropped it. And I mean, it's not like they've gone bankrupt. They're out there still, doing their business. But a lot of them that picked up this Western propaganda bullshit, um, they have also dropped it. So even if the game comes out as the games are for whatever next installment, the Sky and the whatever one is supposed to come out next, even if they pick up all of that, that'd be the first and the last. Especially if Nintendo follows what they normally do, which is try something, doesn't work, try something else, or go back to its old iterations. So again, people talk smoke. People talk smoke naturally. People say, "Oh, I want this in here, I want that in there," and then when they finally get it and they realize how shitty it is, they abandon it. And that's always tend to happen with people who fight for that type of rhetoric in the video games. They want this, they want that, and then the game companies give it to them, and all of a sudden they realize that what they got was shitty work, and they upset about it now, and then they abandon it as if they weren't the ones who were going online, taking to X or Twitter or whatever, talking about, being some kind of justice warrior for the minorities. Like it, it may not hit them financially, but it definitely will criticize. It will hit them in terms of criticism, and I think that sometimes should just be enough when
Yeah.
they see the backlash of it.
Yeah.
And um, again, it all depends on. I don't know if parents necessarily will be privy to it or not, but at the end of the day, again, it's these very same people who fights for these rhetorics or these changes to happen are the very same ones that turn around and abandon it when they finally get it because they realize that it's just not what they expected it to be or it's just not good content. It always happens this way. And that's where I feel like they're really going to get hit with it. That's where I feel like they're really going to get hit with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, if you cater to people that don't really care about Pokemon in the first place, just
Yeah.
likes and upvotes on social media sites, like these
Hmm.
aren't the people that were gonna buy your games.
No,
Um,
these are the people that just want to, they look at a few of your characters and they see they're all particular colors or particular designs, and then they complain about it. But they
yeah,
don't have real passion for it. They're not the competitors that's winning thousands of dollars from entering your video game tournaments. They're not the little kids that doesn't even care about the humans, but wants Pikachu and Charizard on his team. They're not them. They're not. They're not them. They're the interesting bunch
hmm
that just feels like because it's their god-given right to that they should just complain to get what they want, and because we live in a world where people are entitled and spoiled, they feel like that it should go their way, but they're not the actual gamers. They're not they're not the ones that's going to invest into this game.
Yeah,
They're not.
and he'll get rid of the Matsudas of the world, because he's being a little bit too mean to get the social points on social media. And I'll just comment on the Matsuda stuff, and that'll be it for me as far as points go. I agree with Wolf. Like, if the man's bringing in results, again, Nintendo will probably deny all these leaks. Matsuda himself will probably say nothing, whether it's due to NDA or Japanese sensibilities. But like, if he was really like as tyrannical as they said, okay, maybe telling him to like tone it down a bit is acceptable. But like, if the man is bringing you results and is making some of like the all-time um favorite Pokemon games, because I didn't know he did Ruby Sapphire. Ruby Sapphire is like my last favorite Pokemon game. That game was great. Like, I love that shit. That shit was amazing. And the fact that he made that, it's like, well, he's bringing in good stuff. And if he wants to bring in talent that meets his standards, if they're very high standards, that means you theoretically have a very highly capable team to make these games. And again, Pokemon is that weird abnormality in the gaming sphere where they can get rid of one of their key game developers, bring in someone new, he makes a subpar video game, it still does well, and Pokemon still makes bank. It's the only Pokemon can do that, and that's what fascinates me. That alone fascinates me and keeps me up to date with the goings ons of Pokemon, because it's just like, man, like, I've seen companies fold and disband for less. And Pokemon's like, yeah, we kicked out one of our best Pokemon game creators, and we made some mediocre ones. Yeah, we still made like $3 trillion. It's all good. Don't worry about it. He's banned. He's blacklisted. He can't make another one.
Yeah,
It's
well,
just
yeah, yeah. Well, I,
Which blows my effing mind. But okay.
well, again, pertaining to Matsuda, from what I recollect, they did not specify as to why he was like, sidelined for these things. It was he had some type of conversation, a heated conversation with Sugimori, who was like pretty much the founder of Pokemon in terms of like the art and everything before Ruby Sapphire. So he did the first two gens and basically put Pokemon on the map. They had a disagreement, and then you know how politics are in companies. It's like, well, he's the granddaddy. You might be the father right now, but he's the grandfather. He's the patriarch. So you need to chill. So we're gonna put you on something else. It's kind of like if anybody came to Miyamoto about Mario or Zelda or any of those games, and somebody had an argument with him. I'm pretty sure Miyamoto has enough pull to be like, yo, if he continues to talk to me or continue to do stuff that I tell him not to, then I'm out. And they're like, no, this guy is way too valuable of a player. We need to, because again, it was, and this is all from Endymion's video. I'm gonna, clarify that. Um, I think it was Sugimori who appointed the third person who got into like who ran the Pokemon games post X and Y, and then there's a fourth person that came in after that guy. So yeah, we don't know particularly what it was. We can speculate, but I just want to make sure we clear the air with that information. Just because, right? So
I mean, yeah, you're right. But with like how sensibilities are, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just he's like, hey, you suck. Get out my team. And people are like, oh, he's being mean because he said I suck. Like Gordon Ramsay in his younger days, fucking making people jump off rooftops with his criticism. It's like, maybe he was doing that. I mean, but
yeah,
like, he
yeah,
was bringing in results. It's like he made some of the most well-known, games that people still talk about and people are still playing. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's just very interesting. The Pokemon baby mama drama, very, 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 very interesting. It's
Mm.
it's not all sunshine and Pikachu's over there.
True.
And that's the funny thing, right? Because like I'm looking at um the older megas, some of them are a few of them went through when they mega evolve, they go through typing change, and none of the new ones do. None of the new ones go through a typing change. And I know Gunnar may not understand why that's significant, but I'll explain. It's significant because the typing change usually makes or breaks if it's usable in more cases than not.
Hmm.
So again, let's go back to like say Charizard, for example, being a fire dragon or a fire flying when he mega evolves, that dragon part of him changes his usability in terms of whether you should mega evolve him or not.
Yeah.
And none of the new ones did any of that really. Like it's more common to like for instance, Mega Gyarados gets Water Dark. So he goes from water flying to water dark,
Which
which
is
again,
amazing.
it's
It,
an
it
amazing a boon to him because I'll explain to Gunnar again.
Hmm.
The water typing and the flying typing are both weak to electric. So with him losing the flying part, he no longer takes quadruple damage.
yep.
He now takes only he takes now twice as much instead of four times as much.
And his crunch is a
So
stab move now. So
and then his one of his stronger moves is a stab move now, and he also doesn't take damage as much damage from rock attacks. So you, if you understand why I say that it's interesting that none of the new ones got a type change, really, none of them got a type change at all, and they are really, so it's like it really goes back to esoteric's question of did they even care? Like,
Interesting.
yeah, did they even care? Because it's literally zero effort.
Right.
It feels like that at this point. At this
Like
point, it feels like zero effort.
I
Mm,
don't want to think that hard. I don't want to make, oh great, now the meta shifted, or now I gotta like
yeah,
the whole things are changing with different types, and what's he weak to? Just put a new design, put the numbers up so he deals more damage, and
yeah,
done.
and done. That's it. Like Mega Pyrar, for example. So the lion looking Pokemon, he had bad typing. Fire normal is really, really bad typing for him because of his weaknesses versus his strengths. And he mega evolves into the same type. They didn't even try to fix him on that to make him at least slightly more usable. He's still fire normal, and that means he's still weak to two of the most prominent types out there. Three of the most prominent types out there: ground attacks, fighting attacks, and water attacks. He's still weak to them.
But
They didn't try,
he'll theoretically look cooler.
but he'll theoretically look cooler. Mhm.
yeah. But I mean, we can definitely go on and on, guys, but we definitely went well over our time. Do you guys have any lasting points before Gunna takes it away?
Nah, look, the leaks are out there. They're all speculative and take it with a grain of salt. Nintendo, Pokemon, like keep your shit safe, man. I'm just glad fucking customer information didn't fucking leak out of this shit. Like it's just Pokemon data, and hey, man, uh, we'll see where this goes. For me, Pokemon is whatever. I like it, but it's just not for me. Um, I have Digimon. I'll stick with that, but. Yeah, at the end of the day, I think I say this a couple times in a podcast. If you like what you like, purchase it. It doesn't look bad. You're gonna see people on the internet taking every opportunity to dunk on it, like, "Yo, this game is shit." The internet's extremes on both sides. That's what the internet is. If you look at it and you like it and you think it's worth $70, then buy it. I mean, enjoy it, have fun with it. But it pays to be educated on the goings on with anything that you like. So your money, do what you want, but just be aware of certain things.
Mhm.
Yeah, anything you want to add, Wolf, or
so much disappointment. I don't really have anything to laugh. It's just so much disappointment. So much disappointment where this game has gone. I I, I can't even say to people, don't buy it, boycott it, because it's not gonna work. But
Mm,
just try to hold a like we gotta do better at holding the company accountable, and we gotta stop complaining and then turning around and giving them our money too. It
exactly.
doesn't that doesn't add up. That to me is a whole nother definition of insanity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think what it is that the people who are complaining are the minority in this front, because I mean, if everybody is saying that this game is amazing and whatnot, and comparatively speaking, from Scarlet and Violet, it does look great. It runs well from what I'm seeing. Again, I haven't experienced the game myself personally, but based on what I'm seeing, it seems to run well. The Pokemon are well modeled. Um, Although the Mega Evolutions, some of them could use some work, some tinkering in terms of the aesthetic department. They still function as intended in terms of like their moves and what they can do. So if you have fan favorites or like Pokemon that you want a part of your squad, that you know about, then they'll be usable. So you know the game as a game overall, I don't know if I would consider it a bad game based upon functionality and what's being provided. Now, comparative to the Pokemon games that I am accustomed to, this game doesn't seem to be for me. It does produce some of the mechanics that have been begging for years in terms of being able to move freely, have your Pokemon run around and attack as well. We got that in Pokemon Legends Arceus, which I thought to be initially a great blueprint for a game. It's just the sheer redundancy was just really terrible. So I mean, if you guys watched me stream, you saw the decline in my like enjoyment for the game. I was excited, stoked. Even made a review video where I said it was a 9 out of 10, and I was kicking myself in the ass after the next few streams, and was like, wow, I can't believe I rated it a 9 out of 10. But I was just excited for the mechanics that we initially got that I've been begging for over a decade that they never provided in these Pokemon games. Um, so yeah, I just say that to say that yeah, the game looks solid now that I'm seeing more of it. I'm still not going to get it unless it's at a decent price, which that's never happening for Pokemon games, so I probably won't ever get it. Um, but yeah, comparative to the Pokemon games that I've grew up and known to love, this ain't it. You know, this ain't it. Champions might be the better deal for me because that's Pokemon Stadium. Um, that's what it seems to have gotten its inspiration from. So maybe I'll be more inclined to getting that. But then I would have to invest time into being a competitor, which I might not have that investment as of right now. So we'll see. We shall see. But that's pretty much my overall take on this situation here.
All right. Well, we shall see indeed. But on that note, that wraps it up for this episode. It was a long one, but we get passionate about stuff here. Some we've got some pretty hardcore Pokemon fans here, so it always gets a little bit more involved when we talk about Pokemon. But once again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening, watching, especially if you stuck through the end. We appreciate you. Thank you, gentlemen, for another good conversation. Um, yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Have you watched the leaks? Are you not aware of it? Do you have Pokemon Za? Do you not want it? Do you not care? Are you done with Pokemon? Let us know. We'd appreciate any thoughts and corrections if any need to be made. Um, Social medias, if you use them, we got them. We're trying to post content on there, so just follow us and you'll see some cool stuff. Mr. Esoteric is our streamer, resident streamer. He streams usually Mondays and Fridays. He'll throw in impromptu streams if he's really feeling the game or he just feels like streaming. Streams a variety of stuff. He's streamed older Pokemon games in the past. He streamed Legends Arceus, like he said. So he runs the gambit. So if there's something you like, chances are he'll probably stream it at some point. That about wraps it up. That's everything I gotta say. So once again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. Thank you guys for the awesome panel, and we will see you all in the next video.
Peace.